Hey, Delmarva, welcome into the Delmarva Sports Insider, the only live and local show dedicated to giving you all local sports all the time. I'm Sports Director Brandon Bossert.
And I'm Devin J. Martin. Welcome into the show. We got a lot to get into tonight.
Yeah, we're coming down to the final weeks of the basketball regular season, Devin, and especially in Delaware this week. We saw quite a few games that showed us who stands out above the rest.
But we have to start in Maryland tonight. First game of the night is a game that actually just wrapped up right here in Salisbury.
Yeah, we're talking about James M. Bennett hosting Crisfield tonight. This game was kind of a trap game for the Clippers. Crisfield coming into this one with just 2 wins on the season. Now, if the Clippers fell in this one, it would have been a monumental breaker for the really good season that they've had so far. But this game was, as soon as the third quarter finished, the Clippers dominating wire to wire. Crisfield had little chance in this one.
And after being down 30-13 in the first quarter, Crisfield won the second and closed the deficit to 13 going into the half. However, the Clippers came out of the break playing dominating defense, increasing the lead to 27 points, and they never really looked back, winning by 33 points. They were led by Jace Hudson's 19 points on the night. Now, staying in Salisbury for more Bayside action, the Tribe taking on the Seahawks. Decatur getting hot early on. Joe Buxbaum giving it off to Justin Fisher. He's going baseline in this one, getting the basket to go. Decatur up early. Now, the Tribe's not going to wait on the response. B.J. Cook out to Malik Leatherbury. He's pulling it up from Hebron, and down it goes. Leatherbury not done yet. Jace Freeman, nothing going on down there, but Leatherbury with a nice rebound. And the putback, Y-High on top. Decatur just hanging around. Freshman Tribe rise with the rock going coast to coast.
What a nice bucket there.
Yeah, it sure is. And double team him if you want, but he's going to get to that bucket and one. Could Decatur pull off the upset? Seahawks putting in the work on defense. And then here comes the jam by Wise. And we are tied, and this man wouldn't let them come back, though. That's Jace Freeman getting the pass. He's going to drive in. He's going to get the bucket, locking all the windows and doors down the stretch. The Tribe take this one in a final of 48-42.
I just want to point out that Tribe Wise is just a freshman for Decatur, and he is really good. We've seen him improve so far this season, and there were some tough buckets that he got in that game. Very impressive young player there in Berlin. Now for some more scores from around the Bayside. Look at North Carolina scoring a good win over Pocomoke last night, 85-81 in overtime. And then Bennett wins against Easton by 10, so Bennett rolling this week. Decatur a 15-point win over Kent County after that game against Y-High. And then Parkside taking it over Colonel Richardson. Isaac Roberts leading the way with 16 for the Rams.
So let's talk about some takeaways from the Bayside this week. As you mentioned, Bennett is looking really good with some of the wins that they've had over Crisfield and Easton, even Decatur. I could see them really doing well against some of the other teams in the 3A and the playoffs, maybe knocking some teams out and breaking some hearts in the process. I have some personal experience. When I was in high school, we were a big name school, and we lost in the semifinals. We all got our hearts broken. So I can see.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
It's been 10 years, but I still think about it to this day. So I could see Bennett doing that to some other teams once they get further in the playoffs. And Jace Hudson, he's been consistent all season, so I expect him to continue to rise to the occasion.
Yeah, you know what? I want to focus on Y-High for a second. It's so easy for us to assume that they would be a monster coming into this year. They have been for years now, but they're doing this all with a brand new squad out there since they lost down the chance for that Final Four a couple of years ago. No Antoine Wilson, no Taiwan Hardy. Yet they're still 15-1 on the year. Got to give them credit because you know what? I feel like they're going under the radar despite the fact that they're 15-1.
Yeah.
Now, Decatur did give them trouble in that game, and Bennett got them in overtime, but Y-High committing 42 turnovers against Bennett in that game. And I think Decatur has the players to match that physicality for Y-High because a lot of football players on both teams, on Decatur and Y-High. I think that we've seen an amazing job by Butch Waller this year with this Tribe team, getting them to come together like this. Because it's not an easy task getting a whole new team to come together like this and then continue to dominate. It's not something that's easy to do.
Yeah, you mentioned it in terms of, the team when they lost to Bennett. I mean, they only had, I think the one weakness may potentially is that they rely a lot on the starting five. Mm-hmm. And that's something where when I talked to them, because I was at that game where the Bennett coach told me, he was like, hey, the reason we won this game was just because of our depth and Y-High got tired going into the fourth quarter and overtime of that
Yeah,
game.
good point there. All right, meanwhile, this is a big week for the Delmar Wildcats. Winners of 5 straight coming into the week, and they got to face Laurel and Seaford. Let's take you now to the dog pound from Tuesday. Delmar's Takai Huggy at the top of the key here, driving, and there's the bucket plus the foul. 3 the hard way for him. Laurel going to punch right back. Javier White dishing it to Tyron Kane in the corner. He's going to drop that one. Laurel heads into half with a 24-18 lead. Wildcats with active hands, ball tossed ahead. Freshman David Chandler recovers and finishes strong under the bucket. And that would be the beginning of a wild second half. Huggy with what would be the first of many fast break layups for the Wildcats. There's Chandler getting in on the action, finishing strong. Delmar up 8, 4 minutes left. But this is where the tides would turn. Here come the Dogs. Charlie Cannon with the drive right here. Euro stepping his way in. Laurel begins to chip away. Bulldogs on the loose now. Kylese Wilson, the pass to White. He's flying in for 2 there. You see how fired up the crowd is at Laurel. Yep. What a comeback by the Bulldogs in the final minutes. They would take this one by 9 points over Delmar. Delmar is a good up-and-coming team, but Laurel really asserted themselves in the final minutes. Here's Javier White after the game.
We want to just get into our pace and play our game because we was playing that game for the first of the half. So we just came together and played as a team.
And up in Milford last night, they were playing host to Red Lion Christian. Milford hanging around the 500 mark on the year. Red Lion with the rock. Right here, there's Christian Gordon with the pull-up jumper, and he hits. Now the Bucks are responding. Travis Hall from the corner. Milford comfortably ahead in this one. Later, here's Zion Reddick with the layup, trying to cut the deficit for Red Lion, but Milford's too much. They're on the offensive glass, and what a pass by Neeson Legros. He's going to set up the easy deuce. That was a great find, and Buccaneers just not letting up off of the gas. There's that spot again from the corner. Trey ball was working all night, and now one of the plays of the night. Legros going all the way and rising up for the slam. He and his teammates loving it. They win by 31. Milford moves to 9-7 on the season.
What's better than a dunk? A celebration.
Yeah,
all right, let's move on to some more scores around the Henlopen this week. Seaford winners over Delmar as well, 77-45. We'll talk about the Henlopen South a little bit later. Blue Jays imposing their will on Delmar. That's a statement win for the Jays. Sussex Tech losing to Smyrna by 20. The Eagles getting contributions from everywhere. 9-6 this year. They're trying to get things heading in the right direction going into the postseason. They fell in the state finals last year. Laurel, 63-57 winners over Lake Forest. This was closer than we would have thought, and the reason for that, Jackson Starkey, 28 points for the Spartans. And then Sussex Central falling to Cesar Rodney, 55-33. Cesar Rodney up and down this year, but Messiah Antwi with a beast of a game for the Riders. 15 points, 12 boards, and 7 blocks in that one.
7 blocks.
Yeah, very impressive down low for the Riders. Let's talk about the Henlopen now. Been a lot of fun this season, especially in the South. I think many agree. Hey, Dover is the top dog in the North, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I got to say, Dover is the top dog in the North. Even though we saw Smyrna beat Dover by 2 points earlier in the season, we go to the postseason, I got Dover.
Yeah,
in the
too.
South, though, these teams are all beating up on each other. Seaford, Woodbridge, Laurel, Delmar, those are the top 4 teams in the Henlopen South. You know what? Indian River and Lake Forest, not bad either. You know, who do we think is the best team right now in the South? I think Delmar has fallen back a bit. We've got Seaford with Tyrese Fortune and Brent Ricketts. Those are 2 of the best players in the entire state. But Woodbridge has a pretty good team as well. They lack depth. They only have a couple of kids on the bench right now. But right now, I got to say, I think it's Seaford and then followed by Woodbridge and Laurel.
So you make a lot of excellent points right there, Brandon. And out of all those teams you mentioned, Laurel does have the best record, but I'm actually going to end up agreeing with you because the record isn't everything. I also have Seaford as the top team in that Henlopen South.
Yeah, you got to go with the eye test here.
Right, because they've beaten most of their competition in the division that you've mentioned earlier in terms of Delmar, and a 30-point blowout over Delmar. The only team that they haven't beaten is Woodbridge. So, and that's only because they haven't played yet, because their meeting is on Tuesday. And you mentioned his name already, Brent Ricketts. I mean, out of all the players that I've seen so far, I've only been able to come to a couple of the games so far in the Henlopen South. He's probably the most impressive to me. So I would also have to agree that Seaford would probably be the team to beat. I mean, again, they've beaten Laurel and they've beaten Delmar. It's just they got to see what's going to happen when they play Woodbridge.
Yeah, but you know what? We've seen these teams beat up on each other. Laurel could beat Seaford any given night. Woodbridge is a pretty talented team as well. But Brent Ricketts, we've seen him shine in some games, and there are other games where he kind of disappears a little bit. So I want to see a little more consistency out of him.
So over to the girls' side now. Now we're going to begin in Salisbury, a special night for Parkside, senior night for the Rams. Amanda Ballard, a 1,000-point scorer, leads her Rams onto the floor and takes on Chrisfield. And when she was in on the action from the opening tip, there she goes, scoring the opening points just seconds into the game. And that was the theme, her defense causing havoc, leading to offense. She finished with 33 points as her Parkside Rams win 65-26, and they have now won double digits on the season.
All right, so you can make the case that Woodbridge is the best team in the Henlopen on the girls' side, not just the South, though, in the entire conference. And tonight, they had a great test welcoming in Ursuline from Wilmington. Woodbridge down early, needing a spark. How about this one from Peyton Keeler? She beats the buzzer to end the first quarter. Blue Raiders still trailing by 3. I'm sure we'll be seeing that shot a little later on in the show. All right, now here's the best shooter in the Henlopen, in my opinion. Reagan Robinson stepped back, put it up, and drops it in. Finished with 20 points on the night. More from Robinson coming up here. Sophomore puts it in drive and tosses up the floater. 2 of her 20 points on the night. And the Blue Raiders held the lead for part of the second quarter until this shot right here. Another buzzer beater at halftime this time. It's Hannah Kelly. That one rattling home, and the Ursuline Raiders going into the break with the lead. Kelly gave Woodbridge fits tonight, but they still fought hard. Robinson again with the kiss off the glass. This one was close, but Woodbridge falls just short by 4 points. But hey, this was a great test for the Raiders as they get closer to playoff time.
Day in and day out basis, we don't play that level of competition, so we definitely try to play the level of competition with our out-of-conference games. Every game we're getting better and better, so I feel real good about my team. One thing's for sure, when we play, it's going to be a battle. So if anybody that plays this thing is just going to be an easy walk in the park, it's not. We're getting better. Our girls are young. And we don't have any seniors, but they're young. We're playing hard, so we plan on being around come playoff time.
Last night, good game here. Laurel hosting Lake Forest. Lake Forest, Gabrielle Almonte with the steal and layup. That's 2 of her 29 points. And Laurel's Carly Venables, she wasn't going to go down easy. She gets the pass in the corner, and she hits the 3. Lake Forest led wire to wire in this one thanks to some hot shooting and some great defense. You're going to see right here, this transition steal keeps the Bulldogs at bay. Venables tries her best, though. She had 9 threes on the night. Here's another one from the corner. She was just making it rain from wherever she was shooting, but it was just too much Lake. The defense forced over 20 turnovers on the night thanks to their full court press. Lake Forest wins 73-58. They're now 12-3 on the year.
And now let's finish off our girls basketball block. Kendall Moxie scoring her 1,000th high school varsity point earlier in the week. Moxie and her Lions have been stellar this season, rolling to yet another win on Tuesday. That put them at that point 14-1 on the season and 13-0 against Bayside North competition. Moxie ending the night with 38 points and 11 boards. She has just been unstoppable this year, unless she's facing Decatur, that is. It's hard to find someone more dominant in the Bayside than Moxie right now. And let's go ahead and talk about the girls' week that was in basketball. Got to say that tonight I got to see Woodbridge up close and personal. I think that they're the best team this side of the state of Delaware. We talked about Cape Henlopen a couple of weeks ago. This team's a smaller group physically, and they are young, but we've seen them beat Cape already last year in the playoffs, and then the year before that, they beat Cape in the conference championship. So I don't think there's any real I don't think they fear Cape Henlopen whatsoever. And Reagan Robinson might be the best shooter in the entire Henlopen, and Iana Mims is a big player for them on the inside as well. But obviously, Cape has their big three that are all seniors, and they are pretty big too physically. So on paper, Cape should be the favorite in the conference title game, but I love the way the Blue Raiders play. They're fierce, they're tenacious, and they go get you when they play you, and they have no fear.
And when it comes to the Henlopen South, there's really a three-headed titan with all the different teams. It's, there's Seaford, Woodbridge, and Lake Forest, and those three teams all have similar records at 12-3, but Seaford has actually lost to Lake Forest, and then Lake Forest played Woodbridge and lost to them as well. So I'm gonna have to agree with you when it comes to that, in terms of Woodbridge being the team to beat. Again, I was at that Lake Forest and Laurel game. They were very impressive, but I think Woodbridge is just that team that they're just gonna go as far as they want to out of those three different teams. And again, they've also beaten. They have to actually play Lake Forest on Tuesday, so we're going to see what's going to happen when they match up.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with Woodbridge and Cape in a couple of weeks, but that's going to do it for the A block. We're taking a commercial break. When we return, a first for indoor track here on the shore. We're breaking down the regionals when DSI returns.
My name is Jay Freeman. I'm with Wycomico Boys Basketball, and you're watching Delmarva Sports Insider.